Okay, fifth graders, this project that we're going to be working on is going to be a cartoon strip, but the characters are made with your fingerprint. One of my favorite book illustrators that I always loved was Ed Emberley. This is one of his books that I have, and you could see he did fingerprint characters. It was his fingerprint, and then he used a marker or a pen to put the little features inside. He made animals, he made little bugs, and he made all sorts of faces with it for people. And I had a lot of fun with this book. So we're going to use the same idea of creating a cartoon strip with our fingerprint. Now the first thing we'll need to do is to get 2 pieces of the printer paper that I use all the time here and glue it together. Now we have to keep as much of the length as we can. So take your glue stick and glue it right near the edge. You don't want to lose too much when you glue it together. You need the length. And then overlap a little bit, not too much, and then glue it like that. So you'll have a nice long strip to do yours with. Then you're going to need, of course, you'll need something to make your fingerprints. So if you don't have a stamp pad, which I didn't think you would, we'll be using the watercolors. You'll need to think of using a light color so that you can draw the little features in your characters right through the fingerprint. Probably a good idea to do some practicing. That's what I did. And then you'll need to have a cardboard or some kind of heavy. I took this from a box of cereal or crackers. A square that's 4 inches long by 4 inches wide. 4 by 4. Anything smaller and it's hard to get everything in, and much bigger than this it won't fit. What you do is you lay it down on your strip a little bit away from this end, and you trace around it once. You butt the side up right up to the other line. You do it 2, 3, 4, 5. You trace it 5 times. You leave a little bit of space. Don't leave too much or you won't have enough room. Once, trace, 2, 3, 4, 5. Some cartoonists leave a space between this, which they call the gutter, but for our purposes we're going to have one square right next to the other. And now you have to think about what your story is going to be about. What are your characters going to do? You have the first panel is for your title and your name, and then you have to have a beginning of your story and an end of your story, and then you've got 2 middle portions to sort of build your story. So the first thing you'll need to do is to think about writing your story down. I thought about mine and I wrote it down, and please don't mind all the little colors I have scribbled in there, but I was using this as a color tester for another project. So I thought about what would my story be. I thought. It's nice to be a positive story. We want to make it kind of a happy story. So I thought, here's 2 friends. They had had a fight and they were yelling at each other. They don't want to speak to each other and they turn away from each other. Then they're thinking they know they really like each other and they should apologize, but they're afraid that if they apologize, the other one won't accept it. So they say sorry at the same time and then walk home together as friends again. Then I think, how could I do that in 1, 2, 3, 4 panels? So I did little ovals to represent my fingerprint. And I thought, here's the beginning and what they'll say, and here's the middle one, and the other middle one, and then the end one. So I had it all planned out. Then what I did was, with a pencil, very lightly, very, very lightly, I can't stress that enough, very lightly, because you have to erase it all. I sort of penciled in where my fingerprints would be in each one, and then what the big speech bubble. Now remember, there are different kinds of speech bubbles. The normal speech bubble is sort of a roundish shape, and you have to have some way to show who is speaking, that it points to the person who is speaking. You can also have thought bubbles where they're not actually saying anything but thinking. That's very often done like a cloud, and then to point to the person, there's little thought bubbles there. I decided, since my two characters were yelling at each other at the beginning, I would take this speech bubble and make it mad, shouting at each other with sharp points instead of being nice and smooth. You can do yours however you like. Now, as far as the characters go, you'll need your watercolors and you'll need some water. And my suggestion is practice first. You don't want a color that's too dark because you have to draw through it. So probably, an orange or a yellow, a red might be okay as long as it's not too dark. Dip your finger in some water and gently rub it on the paint and practice. How hard do you have to press? Do you get the whole finger in? Sometimes I found if you sort of press it down, you can get the full finger. Oh, that didn't come out too good. However, you have to try different ways. If you have different size characters, you may want one to be your full fingerprint, and the other one to be, if it's little, maybe only the tip of your finger. These are things you first have to kind of fool around with and try until you get what you want. And then, of course, wash your finger and wipe it off so you don't get your final comic strip all full. I thought I would show you the one that I had worked on that I really am quite proud of. I didn't have a thin Sharpie marker, so I couldn't write really small. If you have one, that would be a good thing, or any thin marker, but I only had a pen, so I used a pen. So the first panel is called Friends Forever, and I put my name. So there they are. They're yelling at each other, and the first one says, "Oh yeah, well, I don't want to be your friend." And the other one says, "You are not my friend either. That's fine. Goodbye." Then in the next panel, they're really kind of thinking about what they said, but they're mad at each other, so they're saying, "Humph," and the other one's saying, "Humph." They won't talk to each other. They have their backs toward each other. Then in the third panel, they start to think a little bit. And the first one says, "We've been friends since pre-K. I said mean stuff. Maybe I should apologize." And the other one's thinking, "So what if we had a fight? He still is my best friend forever. Maybe I should apologize." So they both decided at the same time to say, "I'm sorry." And they both said, "Me too, me too." That's my cartoon strip. I'd love to see how yours comes out. Please take a picture of it. Send it to me at my Gmail, which is on the letter that I first sent to your parents. And please, when you send an email, identify yourself. Tell me who you are who did this. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Until our next project, bye boys and girls.